LOL. And the period, because the period matters also, okay? The period says a lot.
That is tone.
The period says as much as the word before the period.
Sure does.
Yes. You don't know that?
Like period, like that?
No.
Like this is not a conversation.
Like you could be like damn, but like damn with a period, it's different.
Emphasis.
Well,
or you could be like word, but word with the period. You know what I mean? The period adds a little extra emphasis.
Shady, if a girl texts you K period, run.
No, well, all my ghetto cousins do that. They be shady period.
No, period.
That's
is
different.
Yeah, but he didn't say period. He said LOL.
Oh, okay.
With
the actual period.
Yes, the punctuation mark.
Shady. Is this a bad look for the Cowboys?
You know what? So you guys were reading it, but if you really watched the video of him talking, I didn't like it. And it's a bad thing for Dallas. It is. Because he's making a mockery of it. He's laughing about it. He's joking about it, right? And you talking about CeeDee Lamb, who's not only just one of your better players, he's probably your best player on offense, for sure. He's one of the best players in this league. And he's fighting for his contract, for his money, for his family. I don't know what he needs to be paid, but something got to be paid. You got to pay this man because he's that good. And I think sometimes we look at football as it's just football. No, this is a business. This is my job. The same way you might work for UPS or you might work for whatever you work. This is where I work. This is my place of business. So I'm making a whole joke about there's no urgency to get the deal done and everybody's laughing. It's like, it's not a joke. I don't know, maybe I'm more passionate about it because I am an ex-player and I've been in situations where, I mean, they paid me right away, but still arguing to get a contract. It's a big deal, right? And my thing is, like, how can he get focused for your team, right, for your organization, if you play around with my money? Because you're going to want him, this is what's going to happen. Because they're going to get a deal done, right? You sign a player and you want him instantly to come in there ready to play. It don't work like that. We're not just no freaking like a little gadget or machine you could just do that with. No.
Yeah, humans.
And now the fans may be upset because if CeeDee Lamb has 1 or 2 bad games, oh my God. Well, if your owner will take things more serious and not make a joke and a mockery of me getting my money, maybe I would have been ready and prepared and more in shape, right? And more healthier for the season. So I hated saying that because it's bad for the game. You got players out here, you know, even though we love to play this game, but every time we take the field, we're risking their body, risking their health. And look at this. Like, you got a player like, look at CeeDee Lamb. Come on, are you serious? And the next thing we're going to ask, oh, my God, does Dak have enough help? Well, I don't know, because the best player...
He might not.
He really might not now.
Right? Jerry Jones, and last thing, I love Jerry Jones. I know him personally. He's a good person. But seeing that, I didn't like seeing that because, like, Jerry, like, this is he got a dad, he got a mom, he got kids. Like, come on. So I just didn't like seeing that, man. Like, don't play with the guy's money.
Yeah, this is nuts. It's not ideal at all that this is going on. I don't think it's a good look. CeeDee should have been paid.
Yes.
And more than that, this is why every year in and year out, it's hard to take the Cowboys seriously. You draft a CeeDee Lamb. He develops. He goes through the whole, like, is CeeDee a #1 receiver? Is he really a certified star receiver? He answers all the questions. He helps benefit your biggest player in Dak Prescott.
Right.
He helps you win all these games, and now it's an issue for him getting paid. And you knew he was up. Yeah. You knew it was time for CeeDee to get paid. This should have been done. You draft a player, he turns into your best offensive player, and now it's a problem, and now we're making jokes of it. But I thought we were all in. What happened to What happened to all in? Was that
a lot of conflicting messages?
What happened to all in? I thought we were all in on this year.
That's what I thought.
Well, we can't be all in if your best offensive player isn't paid and isn't there. And then when we're asked about it, it's not a priority. It's not something that we need to get done. I think it's a bad look. I think it's a bad look also because CeeDee is one of your best players. If I'm Micah, I'm paying attention to this.
Sure.
Oh, he is.
Didn't he retweet it?
He is. He retweeted it.
He retweeted CeeDee Lamb's LOL.
I'm watching this real closely because this is really disrespectful, honestly. This isn't some guy that you brought in and this is his 2nd or 3rd deal and he's causing problems or whatever. This is his first time getting paid, and he's supposed to get paid, and he should be getting paid with the organization that drafted him that he developed in. So
this is ideal.
Yeah, I think it's a bad look. What do you think, Dave?
This is why the vast majority of general managers don't talk about deals until they're signed. Or at the very least, there's like a boilerplate statement. We're all working very hard. We want him back in camp, and we're working toward that happening. And of course, it's a terrible look. This is an absolutely awful look for the Cowboys. I do want to address a couple misconceptions with it. Number one, Shady said it. CeeDee's going to get paid. Like, I don't read into anything in this beyond Jerry Jones put his foot in his mouth talking about CeeDee's deal. CeeDee is going to get a contract. On top of that, you'll hear people talk about the context of this. Some people argue Jerry was talking about, is there urgency to get him back in time for the preseason? I don't really care about that because, again, all you have to do is put out a boilerplate sentence that says, of course we want him here. We want him here as quickly as possible. We want this resolved.
Yes.
I don't care if he was talking about the preseason. I don't care if he was talking about September. Don't give your best players any reason to think that they're not valued. And that's what happened here. Regardless of what Jerry Jones meant, he gave CeeDee Lamb a reason to think that this isn't a big deal, this isn't being taken seriously, that he's not worth being paid. And we already mentioned it. We know Micah Parsons is paying attention. This is such a dumb sentence to say, but this is where we are in 2024. He retweeted this whole thing. Yeah. So now, newsflash, Cowboys, since CeeDee Lamb snuck up on you, Micah Parsons is going to ask to be the highest paid non-quarterback in the NFL sometime in the next 12 months. You don't think he's got a close eye on how you're handling this negotiation? They agree early when the guy's willing to settle for less than the best, and it turns into a circus when he wants top dollar. They did it with Dak. They're doing it with CeeDee. A billion years ago, they did it with Des Bryant. They did it with Zach Martin just last summer. It's a rite of passage that every single great player the Cowboys have has to fight. And you don't think Micah Parsons is noticing that? You don't think, looking years ahead, Tyler Smith is probably noticing this, saying, hey, I'm an all-pro guard. It's going to be my turn soon. Am I going to have to do this? It's an annual headache, and I don't see a reason for it if Jerry Jones can just stick to the script a little bit better. It's a terrible look.
Carmen?
Yeah, that's my biggest thing, is you made Zach Martin the quietest offensive lineman who never talks about himself, never advocates for himself. He is a Hall of Famer today, probably the best guard in the league still, and has been. And you made him do all this work last year, trying to, he did some stuff on social media. He's not a social media guy. You had
a guard tweeting about his Madden rating.
That is
crazy.
Absolutely outrageous if you know guards, and offensive linemen in general. So this brings out the worst in these players, and having to not feel valued, and over again, you see that this is how they conduct business. And what I don't understand is it doesn't work for the organization either, because then you're forced to give over the leverage to the player. We saw what happened with Dak Prescott at his last deal, got done at the 11th hour, and he had a no tag and no trade clause in that because the Cowboys' backs were against the wall.
Yeah.
So it's not good business even from a team perspective. And I'm not one to advocate for teams, but it's absolutely silly that you make your best players, who are some of the best at their positions in the league, prove themselves over and over again, when if they're a homegrown guy like CeeDee Lamb is, this is what you want. This is the ideal situation. You draft him, develop him. He's now a homegrown talent, a blue chip on your GM record. Why don't you pay him? And why don't you pay him early so your backs aren't against the wall like this?
And you're totally right, because I got rid of Amari Cooper, right, for a reason. And then we drafted CeeDee Lamb first round. So you already knew, okay, he's really good. That's how we graded him. And now he's everything that you want and a little bit more. Why not pay this guy? And the worst part is, as ball players, right, we are sensitive. Some are more sensitive than others, right? If a guy in the media says something, some players might respond. I'm really not the type to do that. I only, get into it with the media, for their opinions. But when it comes to the front office, I do, right? Because how do you value me? I'll give you an example. When I was about to get paid, I remember Drew Rosehouse, my agent, would say, hey, listen, before we get into these negotiations, right, don't take nothing personal. So I'm thinking, what do you mean? Bro, I'm all pro. I was the best running back in football, right? I got the crown. It should be an easy deal, right? It should be, they want me, they need, right? And when I got in there, they start finding all these different things. I'm like, yo, is that how y'all feel? Am I valuable to y'all? So if I'm already thinking that in negotiations, and they were just trying to basically, lower the number. We knew you had to pay me, but let's at least lower the number a little bit, right? Let's give them their little cases. Then we'll say what case Wash get paid. That goes back and forth for everybody.
Right.
And I don't care if a deal gets done right away, they still have that pushback. That's what it is. Negotiations, that's what it is. But my issue is when you see interviews of the owner saying stuff and laughing, there's no urgency to get it done. I mean, it's I'm already sensitive already from you saying I shouldn't get this money or that money, et cetera, et cetera. But the other part, when I see you smiling and joking about my money, my contract, how can I be happy? Even when he comes back to the team, because they're going to get a deal done. When he comes back to the team, you think he's going to be all peaches and cream and all good? Yo, what up? What up, Jerry? We got it done. It ain't gonna be that. Because I watch you laugh and joke about my money. Now, you're gonna be happy you got paid, but it's always gonna be in the back of your mind, like, what's going on with you?
I don't disagree with you, but I've seen this play out, and I promise you right now, regardless of whatever hard feelings there are under the surface, I can picture it in my mind in several weeks, whenever we get this deal done. CeeDee's going to be sitting up there with Jerry, and Jerry's going to make a joke about this. He's going to, like, nudge CeeDee and be like, is this urgent enough for everybody? Like, was this fast enough?
You got that personality, right?
Everybody's going to laugh, and it's all going to, it's going to be jokes. But meanwhile,
in the back of his mind.
Meanwhile, this is another example of a guy who had to fight tooth and nail to get what he's owed to the Cowboys.
I have no problem with that part. Because everybody, like, listen, man, I had a dinner with Aaron Donald probably, last week, and we were talking about the contract. I didn't even know this, because I know he sat out, but there was some real pushback. I'm thinking, like, well, why would you push back against the best player and defense player we've ever seen, right? So there's always pushback. That's just what it is. Even with guys, I got the good contracts with my properties, I push back a little bit, but that's part of it. My problem is when you joking about
the public part.
Yeah, right. Because he can keep it quiet and do the deal. Mm-hmm. But you interviewing and really, because like you said, Dave, you could have said, hey, hey, we're working super hard to get this deal done. We didn't see eye to eye, but we're gonna get there. That's good enough. But when you smiling, there's no urgency to get this deal done.
Do you think this affects, like, is Dak looking at this saying, why do I want to be tied to this organization now? Why do I, he sees this pattern.
You probably already feel that. I mean, he had an MVP type of year.
I'm curious to see where this goes, because does CeeDee want to sign for a team that has a question mark at quarterback? Yeah. Does Dak want to sign for a team that is in the middle of a holdout with its star receiver? I mean, like I said, I think CeeDee will wind up signing eventually, because for the amount of money that we're talking, who wouldn't?
Would they trade? Yeah. You think if he asked for a trade? Because that part you just said,
I don't see that happening.
The question mark on my quarterback, because let's say we have a phenomenal year, right? I mean, they won't go to the playoffs and do, like, good. But
you had to make sure you threw that in there.
No, that's just what happens every year. But they go to playoffs, right? And Dak does what Dak does. Has a really good year, 12 wins and all that. My thing is, if I'm CeeDee, my quarterback's not signed, and y'all playing around with him, so who you gonna bring in here for me? Because we only talk about the team. But as individual players, Joy, we think of ourselves.
Am
I going to have 1,000+ yards with this new quarterback?
I mean, he's not been paid yet. So I think Dak is looking at this from a completely different perspective than CeeDee's looking at it. And obviously, Micah is paying attention to it, because Micah is elite also, and he's up next. Like, CeeDee's an elite player. This isn't a middle-of-the-road player who's fighting to try and get paid here. Right. He's the best of the best. Now, Stephen Jones said CeeDee Lamb's contract they're continuing to work hard on it and getting the deal done. And CeeDee changed his Twitter bio along with his former University of Oklahoma teammate, Hollywood Brown. So CeeDee's bio used to say America's team, and he changed it. So he's doing the social media thing as well. So they have
That's the new thing.
Both Hollywood Brown and CeeDee Lamb now
have the same.
I do think CeeDee had that photo before yesterday, but he did take America's team out.
He took America's team out. So, Shady, do you have any concern that CeeDee won't get his deal done before the season? Before the season.
That's the new thing now. Go to Twitter or Instagram.
Social media?
It's weird, but it's true.
It's weird, but it also kind of works.
It does. You're right.
I mean, it's going to work anyway.
You're right.
So you think the deal gets done before the season?
Yeah, it has to. I mean, like, I don't ever really get too worried about the main players or star players and holdouts, because if you just look at all the players from the Watts, TJ Watt to Aaron Donald, to now CeeDee Lamb, to Zeke Elliott. Like, I can name these dudes. And they always, what happens, Dave? They get the deal done. The only thing I can think of is Le'Veon Bell to say, I'm going to sit out the whole year.
The thing you have to remember with the Cowboys, and that's why I said I think this will happen.
Zach Martin.
They get the deal done when it's with a guy of this caliber. And the closest example, because Zach Martin was back in camp before we got too close to the season. The closest thing is Zeke Elliott. Zeke was pushing for $90 million. He held out. He was in Cabo all of camp, and it was just like this. Every day was Zeke watch. I don't remember if Zeke was tweeting or anything like that. I don't think so. But just every day, and his agent was leaking things through the press, and the Jones family was coming back through the press.
Time.
And then Zeke signed like the week of the season, or maybe the week before the season. He came back from Cabo to Dallas and signed. And guess what? He got exactly the deal that he wanted. He got $90 million with more than, and that's how it'll work here. CeeDee's going to get the deal that he wants. And when all of this is said and done, and everybody's happy and making jokes on the podium at the press conference, I'm just going to be thinking, Why was this so hard?
Well, why was it so hard? And if you're going to give them the deal that they want, what's the point?
Exactly.
Dak got everything he wanted. Zeke got everything he wanted. If we think that CeeDee is going to get everything he wanted, well, then you just wasted 12 days of camp without your best offensive player. So at the very least, when the deal is done, let it be a deal that the team feels happy about, because if you just gave them, if you end up with your back against the wall, to your point, and you end up giving them the deal that they wanted in the first place, then you just wasted time. He's almost at $1.6 million in fines if he doesn't report in time for Sunday's opener against the Rams.
They're gonna waive that though.
Yeah, but I mean, he's missing time is the point. Like he's missing time, and he could miss more time if it doesn't get done. So if you're going to end up giving him the deal, what is the point?
I agree, and history shows us the Cowboys wind up losing these deals when it's with a player of this caliber. So if that's the case, and CeeDee, if he doesn't top Justin Jefferson at the top of the receiver market, he's going to be right there with him. If I know that, and we all know that, and really the Cowboys know it too, then what are we doing here? That's my only question.
You're alienating your star player, and that's
future players who are going to be in this position.
Exactly.
The fact that Micah Parsons retweeted this is probably the most interesting part.
Yeah, should they be more worried about that then?
I do have a good source.
That's going to be a fun conversation when he does come for his money, I promise you.
A good source told me that the Cowboys has been sending CeeDee, like, maybe he knows the offense and all that, but they've been sending him the plays and everything, like all the installments they're doing, they've been sending it to him. Got a good source about that, Dave. So it's like, this is what I don't get. So this, I know you missed out on the physical part of it, but we're going to see everything you needed to see just in case you might forget these plays.
Is he...
It's like you know I'm gonna be there.
The coaches have
Give me my
control
money,
over that.
man.
The coaches can do that. That doesn't have to involve Jerry Jones.
How crazy is that?
Office.
I'm gonna see all the stuff we're doing in meetings so you can have it for you. Like,
you think he's like looking at it? You think CeeDee even needs to look at it, honestly?
Nah, but
I mean, you want to come into camp as prepared as you can. Like, if everyone is just assuming that this deal is going to get done, you want to cut back as much as you can on what you've missed, even if you know the offense. Like, that's what camp is for. Why the hell else do you have camp if there's not some preparation for the season? But he's missing that, as he should, because this is what he has to do in order to get his money. But to me, I'm like, this was a no-brainer. This wasn't a deal that needed tough negotiating. No. He's the best of the best. The elites get paid. Like, if you want to argue about, okay, we have a surplus at this position, or, okay, we feel like, yeah, he's good, but maybe in a year or so he might not be the same. We might need to get someone in. He's in his prime.
I'm with you.
Oh, no, man. Y'all got to quit playing in here with the studio. You heard that?
Yes. The lights are moving.
I stay focused.
Some stuff going on over here. Like, hold up. Some lights moving around.
About the CeeDee Lamb contract, too.
Yeah, we hear you. He's in his prime. He's proven everything he needs to prove, and this is his first contract. This was something that should have been done.
Hey, Joe, you know the best part about this is? That's why I'm so prepared. Imagine catching the ball.
Right.
And you feel this big 350-pounder about to hit you, but you can't panic, right?
Yeah. Stay focused.
You got to catch the ball. You got to try to make him miss. You see what I'm saying? So I ain't worried about the lights and all that. Little earthquake. I'm cool with all that.
Yeah, I'm cool with an earthquake. I didn't know what I was hearing. I had to check. Subscribe here to get the latest from Speak, and go watch a few segments from our other shows on FS1.